Most people fight seeing what's true when it's not what they want it to be. That's bad because it's more important to understand and deal with the bad stuff, since the good stuff will take care of itself. Do you agree with that? If not, you are unlikely to benefit from what follows. If you do agree, let's build on it. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well and hope you're all looking forward to some reading to start the day off with. Principles by Dalio is what we are reading. We've actually only just started the Principles. We actually read about his history and his life story first. We just started a 1.1, which is be a hyper-realist, and we're up to 1.2, truth, or more precisely, an accurate understanding of reality is the essential foundation for any good outcome. So let's get into the reading. Hope it motivates you, gives you some things to think about, implement throughout the day, especially since we're talking about principles, which should be good to implement, right? Let's do that, and let's read and have a think about what it all means for us. Here we go. Most people fight seeing what's true when it's not what they want it to be. That's bad because it's more important to understand and deal with the bad stuff, since the good stuff will take care of itself. Do you agree with that? If not, you are unlikely to benefit from what follows. If you do agree, let's build on it. I struggle a little bit with truth because what is the truth? So there are things that people have told us that are lies throughout history. There are things that we may think that are true. And we've done our research and we fully believe it to be true, which makes us a realist, but we don't really know what is really truth. We have to take a scientist's word for what is truth on certain subjects. And we don't have the capacity or the means to be able to do the experiment ourselves. So if we are not certain of how to do that experiment, if we're not able to do the experiment, how are we meant to then figure out what is truth and what is not truth? So I find that a really interesting one. I would love to be able to know how it is possible for us to be able to actually discover the truth. Wow, that's gone very, very deep today. And we only just started. Anyhow, yes, so truth is very important. And it's important to have truth in our interactions. But with regards to what is actual truth, there are a lot of people that are going to have different opinions on that one. So yes, very, very interesting start. Let's move on to 1.3 before we go completely off track. Be radically open-minded and radically transparent. That, I think, is definitely a really good one. None of us is born knowing what is true. Very good. We have confirmation. We either have to discover what's true for ourselves or believe and follow others. Wow, I can't believe that it actually just went in that direction. The key is to know which path will yield better results. I believe that radical open-mindedness and radical transparency are invaluable for rapid learning and effective change. Learning is the product of a continuous real-time feedback loop in which we make decisions, see their outcomes, and improve our understanding of reality as a result. Being radically open-minded enhances the efficiency of those feedback loops because it makes what you are doing and why so clear to yourself and others that there can't be any misunderstandings. The more open-minded you are, the less likely you are to deceive yourself, and the more likely it is that others will give you honest feedback. If they are believable people, and it is very important to know who is believable, you will learn a lot from them. Being radically transparent and radically open-minded accelerates this process. It can also be difficult because being radically transparent rather than more guarded exposes one to criticism. It's natural to fear that, yet if you don't put yourself out there with your radical transparency, you won't learn. I've always learned to put myself out there and not be too concerned about what anybody else thinks or says or does, and I think that is very, very helpful. It's good to be open-minded and very, very transparent. B, don't let fears of what others think of you stand in your way. I've done that in the past, and I've learned that I needed to stop doing that. And I suppose everybody still does it to a certain degree, but a lot less than I used to. You must be willing to do things in the unique ways you think are best, and to be open-minded, reflect on the feedback that comes inevitably as a result of being that way. Learning to be radically transparent is like learning to speak in public. While it's initially awkward, the more you do it, the more comfortable you will be with it. This has been true for me. For example, I still instinctively find being as radically transparent in the ways that I am in this book uncomfortable because I'm exposing personal material to the public that will attract attention and criticism. Yet I am doing it because I've learned that it's best, and I wouldn't feel good about myself if I let my fears stand in the way. In other words, I have experienced the positive effects of radical transparency for so long that it's now uncomfortable for me not to be that way. Besides giving me the freedom to be me, it has allowed me to understand others and for them to understand me, which is much more efficient and much more enjoyable than not having this understanding. Imagine how many fewer misunderstandings we would have and how much more efficient the world would be, and how much closer we would all be knowing what's true if instead of hiding what they think, people shared it openly. I'm not talking about everyone's very personal inner secrets. I'm talking about people's opinions of each other and of how the world works. As you'll see, I've learned in improving my decision making and my relationships. So whenever I'm faced with the choice, my instinct is to be transparent. I practice it as a discipline, and I recommend you do the same. So that is absolutely something that I would agree with, because one, if you are hiding who you really are, if you are not being your true self, if you are walking on eggshells, then it's going to be extremely challenging for you to be able to feel comfortable and to do the things that you were born and meant to do, because you are always being somebody different. And yes, you can evolve and change over time, but you want to be you, and you don't want to pretend to be somebody else. You don't want to have people like you just because you do something different. You want to just be you, and you will automatically attract the people around you who like you for who you are. And that is what you want to aim for. So that is very, very important. And it also gives you the freedom. And it would be so much better if everybody was telling the truth about how they feel about others. If we were all like 5-year-olds and we would all tell each other what we truthfully think, then it would be beneficial. I've always said to people throughout my life that I really want people to tell me the honest truth about what they think. If you lie to me and tell me that I'm wonderful when I'm not, then how am I going to improve? How am I going to get better? So I would much prefer to know if somebody thinks that I have a personality flaw, if I annoy them, then if you tell me, then I know about it. I can do something about it if I decide I want to. And if it is something that I want to defend about myself, and if it's something that I feel that I am more comfortable being that person than doing something different, then that is also a very important thing. I used to have somebody in my family, and they used to say that I was quite fake because I wouldn't necessarily say how I felt. And that was who I was, and I felt comfortable that way. And they didn't feel comfortable with me being that way. And I have now obviously changed, and I now very comfortably tell people how I feel about things. So you want to adapt and change and be who you are, but you want to also learn and grow and improve as a person, and do all of those different things. C, embracing radical truth and radical transparency will bring more meaningful work and more meaningful relationships. My experience, based on watching thousands of people try this approach, is that with practice, the vast majority find it so rewarding and pleasurable that they have a hard time operating any other way. This takes practice and changing one's habits. I have found that it typically takes about 18 months, which is how long it takes to change most habits. So I definitely feel that for me, it is very, very good to be open and more transparent. And yes, it definitely opens up relationships. It also kills off a couple. But that open, honest transparency, even though sometimes it's extremely difficult, and I think everybody really struggles with it, even the people that you think are extremely open are sometimes going to tell little white lies or struggle with it, or change things slightly. But the point being, if you can learn to embrace and be more open to it, then it definitely improves your relationships. It might kill off a couple of relationships, but it will surround you with people who who you feel more comfortable with, and it will be better overall. So definitely something very, very good. 1.4, look to nature to learn how reality works. I like this one already. All the laws of reality were given to us by nature. Man didn't create these laws, but by understanding them, we can use them to foster our own evolution and achieve our goals. For example, our ability to fly or to send cell phone signals around the world came from understanding and applying the existing rules of reality, the physical laws or principles that govern the natural world. While I spend most of my time studying the realities that affect me most directly, those that drive economies, the markets, and the people I deal with, I also spend time in nature and can't help reflecting on how it works by observing, reading, and speaking with some of the greatest specialists on the subject. I found it both interesting and valuable to observe which laws we humans have in common with the rest of nature and which differentiate us. Doing that has had a big impact on my life and approach to life. First of all, I see how cool it is that the brain's evolution gave us the ability to reflect on how reality works in this way. Man's most distinctive quality is our singular ability to look down on reality from a higher perspective and synthesize an understanding of it. While other species operate by following their instincts, man alone can go above himself and look at himself within his circumstances and within time, including before and after his existence. For example, we can ponder the ways that nature's flying machines, swimming machines, billions of other machines, from the microscopic to the cosmic, interact with one another to make up a working whole that evolves through time. This is because of the evolution of the brain that gave man a much more developed neural cortex, which gives us the power to think abstractly and logically. While our higher level thinking makes us unique among species, it can also make us uniquely confused. I was about to mention that. Other species have much simpler and more straightforward lives, without any of man's wrestling with what's good and what's bad. In contrast with animals, most people struggle to reconcile humans. There we go, we are back. Let's see, let's turn that back on. So yes, the internet just cut out very, very strangely. We'll continue where we left off. Mladen is back, and let's have a look. Yes, we'll just continue on. We'll go back to where we were just a second ago. While our higher level thinking makes us unique among species, it can also make us uniquely confused. And I definitely have a few things to say about that. Other species have much simpler and more straightforward lives, without any of man's wrestling with what's good and what's bad. In contrast with animals, most people struggle to reconcile their emotions and their instincts, which come from the animal parts of their brain, with their reasoning, which comes from parts of the brain more developed in humans. This struggle causes people to confuse what they want to be true with what actually is true. Let's look at this dilemma to try to understand how reality works. Okay, we'll continue with that. Next time, when we keep reading, I need to get ready to start heading out. I have a couple of appointments and things that I need to get ready for. But it is so interesting how... I just noticed that Mladen's also managed to send something. I haven't even figured out how to do that on Vigo. Okay, so that's just a quick side note. So this is a very interesting part of the book, these principles, and the ability for us to be able to go through and have a look at how Ray likes to structure his life. It might help us to be able to improve our investing by having a look at what kind of principles Ray has created. Right now, we're looking at his life principles. We'll have a look at his work principles and also his investment principles, which should be very, very interesting. But yes, as humans, it is good for us to tell the truth. And it liberates us, makes life a lot easier. It might be uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then the other thing is this, I suppose, our ability as humans to be able to reason, to look at things from a different perspective, whereas animals just follow their instinct. We have the ability to actually understand our life, to be able to see the past and to use it to draw consequences and to make new decisions based off of that. And also to look into the future, we actually able to ponder what might happen to us after death. And this is an advantage because it allows us to invent things like cell phones and airplanes and different other things. But it's also something that can hold us back. Because if we go in too deeply and think too much, then it becomes a bit of an issue, which is one of the reasons why I like to meditate, because it then allows me to pull back from all of that and look at life on a more basic level in order to be able to take a step back and prevent myself from overthinking, which I am the kind of person that loves to overthink. So I would love to know what your thoughts are on what we've been reading today. So you can reach out on Instagram, business_team_6_official. I would love to know what your thoughts are, because that's just my perspective. And one of the beautiful things about life is that we all have different perspectives, and we can share and be truthful in what we share with each other with regards to what is going on in life and our understanding of life. And it goes so much deeper all the time. And we could talk for hours about how it all fits together and how we all believe that things are. And we're going to have different opinions, and we're not going to agree on what the truth is. And there are different books that are going to tell you different things about what is true. And there are certain science experiments that we have to trust other people, because we don't have the equipment or the ability to do the science experiments. So if somebody says that something is the case, we could believe them. And there might be other people who have done a similar experiment and say the exact opposite. So it is very, very challenging as a human. So we need to make our own rules around how we're going to determine what is truth for us and which path we're going to follow, whether we go down the path of, for example, we're going to vote for one party or vote for another party, or we believe in vaccination or we don't believe in vaccination. There are all these millions of different things that we're going to believe different things about. Before it gets too controversial, please do reach out. I would love to know more and discuss these things with you. I see you, and I know that you are here. I would love to get to know you more. So feel free to reach out on Instagram if you would like to join. And we actually have a game on tonight. If you'd like to get better at investing, which we haven't been talking about as much because we're talking about life principles, not the economic investment principles just yet. But if you'd like to improve your investing, and if you'd like to do all the things that we run at the Cashflow Club, learn about real estate, learn about business, learn about stock market and different other kinds of investments, and how to translate that into real life, then feel free to get in touch and let me know. I will send you the details about how you can join us for a game of a simulated cash flow, a simulated game that allows you to practice real life and do the things that you might want to achieve in real life by practicing without any loss of money or any loss of anything else. Then please reach out and let me know, and I'll share the details of how you can come and join us. If you enjoyed this reading, and if you would like to see more readings, if you'd like to see the rest of the chapters that we've already read, if you'd like to read together with me, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Art of Thinking Clearly, you can also do that on YouTube. And you can find us on YouTube at the Passive Cashflow Club. So feel free to go across to the Passive Cashflow Club on YouTube. Join us there, leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe, because we're also starting to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, if there's something you're not sure about in the book, if there's anything you'd like to discuss or anything you'd like to ask, I'm happy to make a video about that and answer your questions and then put that up on the YouTube. And the only way you're going to know when I put those videos up is if you subscribe. So that will help you to be able to get those answers. And who knows, it might not be your question that I'm answering, but it might be a question that interests you all the same. So I'm going to start heading off. I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another reading. Remember to make the switch to unlock your rich, because if you do things the same way you've always done them, you'll get the same results. But if you make that switch, you can start to unlock your rich. And so that is what you need to do. Start doing things a little bit differently if you want to achieve all your goals and dreams and succeed. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Love to know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you on Instagram to hear your thoughts.